Hello, welcome to the Frequency of Transformation podcast. Today we are with Stephen here. So it's Stephen with a Bioresonance practitioner in like many different modalities. So Stephen, tell us a little bit your story. How did you come to Bioresonance at the first place and how it changed your life?
Well, I think we need to go back to pre-COVID, 2020 was it? I was just coming back from Gabon. In fact, I was there doing a medicine retreat with Iboga in a village in Gabon, and they get you to drill your intention for about 7 days. You're staring into a bucket and you're asking the spirits, because there's many different plants in this bucket, and they talk to you. You say, what is it that you want from this experience? And the fundamental intention for me was to find a sense of purpose in life, to find a new job because I felt stuck in photo editing. And so I came back from Gabon, landed back in Thailand, and COVID was just breaking out, I think, and I ended up at my good friend, ex-girlfriend's resort. She was like, Stephen, come and help me because it's really quiet now with COVID. Can you come and stay? So I was like, sure, yeah, I'd come and stay in the resort. I haven't got anything else better to do. So I was there, and it was very quiet. There weren't many people there for many weeks. And then one day, Ludi comes in with her partner, Matt. And at some point, I can't remember, after a few days, my friend Ploy, the owner, says, well, would you like a session? They do bioresonance. And I said, what's bioresonance? She says, well, it's a machine and they scan you. And I said, Ploy, I don't believe in that. Like, that's all nonsense. It's quack. And she said, well, Stephen, you've got nothing better to do with your time. You might as well do it. And I kind of shrugged my shoulders and I was like, you're right, yeah. So we set up in the restaurant.
Yes.
And you came over and you put the headphones on me, and we were both looking at the screen, and it started to scan through my body. And you said, okay, well, you've got parasites, you've got roundworm and pinworm in your intestines, and your left hip is blocked, right? I was like, well, yeah, it is actually. And it was funny about the parasites because in the ceremony in Gabon, I had literally been vomiting out parasites. They were coming out of me. So I was purging into the bucket. So it didn't surprise me that there was still some left. So I was like, okay, hang on. Now you've got my attention. So we did the scan, and Ploy, my friend, was, saying, God, yeah, you've got parasites. Look at you. That's because you live on those islands for so many years. And I was like, well, I don't think that's the reason. Anyway, she then went on the machine, and she had the parasites, and which I had put it down to the cats because she has many cats there, and they're sleeping in everyone's beds. And it came up with a tendency of her, because we know that diabetes runs in her family. Her mother has it, her grandmother has it. And Ludi said, you've got a history of diabetes in your family. And we both kind of looked at each other. And then they said, and your heart is weak. And we know that she's got issues with her heart. And there were a few other issues which I can't quite recall, but at the time I remember thinking, this is bang on. So I had a curiosity about this, and we started, because she runs a wellness retreat center and people come, and so I was intentionally sending people to them because I wanted to hear from their experiences. So people would come back and we were like, so how was it? And they were having these really positive, incredible experiences. I remember Ludi telling me that after 21 days, that was a free session I had, but then after 21 days, I could do an emotional session. I remember thinking, okay, well, I can kind of entertain the fact that you could scan me physically, but emotionally, how does this work? And Ludi explained that the emotional information is held in the mitochondria. We go in there and we find these lists. In everyone, it's in different parts of the body according to where you hold your emotions. So it'd been about a month had passed, and by this point enough people had come back with positive experience, and I thought I'm gonna pay for this session. And I came out to Ludi's studio and we did the emotions. And I remember not feeling anything at the time and leaving and thinking, well, that was probably a waste of money. Got home, and then I suddenly started to feel very peculiar. I felt all this fear rising in my body, like I had lost my passport and I couldn't find it, an emergency, something like that. But there was nothing to connect it to. And I said to my friend, ex-girlfriend, I think I'm going to bed, I don't feel well. I woke up in the middle of the night, about 2 or 3, from the worst nightmare I think I've ever had, with all this emotion rising out of me. It was just pouring out. And it was very overwhelming. And I then spent the next day at the hot springs, just cleansing it, and I undoubtedly felt a lot lighter afterwards. By this point, I was seriously interested in thinking, well, you know, how I've got a sudden interest in this technology now, and I contacted Ludivine about, you know, what's the arrangement about purchasing one? Would you be able to organize that for me? And she agreed, and I said, well, I don't have the money now, but give me some months. So after some time, I raised the cash, and I bought the machine, and I was super excited. We did the training, and I then left, and Ludi got me to a point where I could competently drive the machine. Now, that's just the first stage. What I was soon to discover is that working with this technology is a spiritual journey. The experiences that I had and what it taught me and what it proved. Now, in the beginning, because I didn't really fully understand the results and I couldn't explain them, I started to then question the technology, and I went back and forth. Like, does it really work? You know, have I just bought some magic beans? And kind of one of the reasons I maintained my faith was because I fully trusted Ludivine. No, this lady really has integrity. She wouldn't sell me something. But then I think, well, maybe she just she believes it does, but it doesn't really work. And I would go back and forth because I wouldn't really, although I could drive it, there were times when I wouldn't really understand what it was showing me, and it didn't seem logical. And then after a while, I just had some scans where it was so obvious what it was showing me. There was no question. And one of them was a lady that I actually went to scan a man. He owned hotels, and he had a session with me before, and he's super sensitive to energy. And he had a session, and he was like, this is amazing. And he's like, I want you to come and treat me. So after 3 weeks, I went back and treated him again. I don't know, I think I've told you this story. And he says, can you put my assistant on first before you treat me? Just scan her. I said, yeah, sure, we can just do a quick scan. So we're scanning through her, and there is lots of blockages in, if I remember correctly, in the endocrine system, in the hypothalamus. I was like, oh, this is unusual. It was just doing things that were out of the ordinary to that you could say are generic for most people. And I looked in the hypothalamus, and then I checked on the disease tendency that was coming up, the pathology, and it was stating, I forget what the name of the pathology was. It was so rare and random. But under the description, it said this is caused by when someone is exposed to industrial chemicals. So I asked her, I said, well, what did you do for a career living before you were an assistant? She said, oh, I worked in a paint factory in Bangkok for 20 years. I was like, okay, this is looking really encouraging. And then we scanned her, everything that came up really correlated with her. And then I scanned another of his workers who came in, and the scan was going into every different part of the brain. Very rare that it would go into so many different specific points. And there was black squares everywhere, which indicates a lot of inflammation. And I said to him, do you get headaches by any chance? He's like, yeah, I've been getting headaches for the last something like 25 years. I was like, wow, okay. And then that restored my faith in the technology again, because I went through this period, and I think anyone that in the beginning, when they buy a machine like this and they don't really understand how it works, will go through that process, and they are going to question it. But there's a point where as you experience and understand more, you start to trust it. And Ludi always preached to me, Stephen, just trust the machine, because if you don't trust, you're putting up a block yourself. It's one thing having a client that doesn't trust, and that creates problems in itself, and you can see the way the readings come out. But when you, the practitioner, doesn't trust, that it has an even more magnified effect.
Yes, of course, when we have doubts, we interfere with treatment, because we are connecting. This is what many people don't get. It's like, it's not the machine doing the work. It's like the one behind the machine is as much important, even energetically, because we connect with this machine. And if we have doubts, this is what we are going to share with our customer. So the outcome is not the same. And this is what you have been experiencing during your period of like trying to understand and doubting what was the result of the machine.
Blocking truth, I guess. And not because at the time there was certain data that I just didn't know how to interpret properly. And unfortunately, Ludivine was very patient with me, because I was probably a massive pain in the backside. And like asking questions all the time, and unfortunately, she always found time to set me straight. And Stephen, just trust, you're doing well. You know, you look at it this way, and explained what I was doing wrong. And so, yeah, if I hadn't had that support, maybe I would have launched the device into the garden or something in a bit of rage, you know, because in the beginning you will get frustrated, you know, if you don't know how to fully do things. But it can come, maybe that was just for me. For some people, I think it comes quicker. Like someone that you were training a couple of weeks ago that I was helping you with, he picked it up incredibly quickly, and he's absolutely flying. But then he came from Chinese medicine, and so he has that background. So I think for him it was probably an easier match. And I was coming to it with no healing background at all. Just seeing this in the beginning as, wow, what an amazing console game. It's like the game of life that we're playing with. And
like computer game,
yeah.
But it's not a computer game, because at the end, like, it doesn't impact on our customer. But the essence of it is like, it's like bring back what we are, what we have as a gift as well. It's like like help us to blossom. And for me, it's like bring back my intuition and like more connection with myself and with you as well. It's like slowly you had more confidence, and like confidence in your intuition, what you could feel with the customer. So it's bring back the healer side of yourself. It's bring back the healer side of each of us, and we have different gifts. Some they can hear, some they can see, some they can feel, and you have the knowledge as well. So it's not just like a machine techniques who's like doing the job. No, it's like bring your healing parts into the context. And this is what makes a completely difference with like machines. And like a tool we can help us to, implement our gift.
It's an extension, isn't it? And you always said to me, Stephen, find your way, your unique way to work with this machine. Like, explore. Everyone finds a different way. And you've explained to me how there's people working with animals, there's people working in sports medicine, there's people in Malaysia, what are they doing?
Which one?
The one with the clinic, they've got several.
Oh yes, he's like a naturopath, sports medicine, and in his clinic he has a Chinese doctor, acupuncturist, but for him he uses the machine as a diagnostic, and like for birth, like women who cannot have babies, and sterility, and so he's fertilities, yeah. Yes. So he's using the machine in this concept. So everybody has their different niche, and where they can use the machine in their way and for a specific purpose.
Didn't you have success with? Wasn't there several children?
Yes,
were conceived?
Yes. For me, the first person who asked me to do a session because the lady she couldn't have babies, and it was few years she was trying to have a baby. And I never treated someone for that, so I say, okay, let's try. It's like, so it's not like. So when we did the scan, and we find few bacteria or whatever, and treated her I will treat any other customer, not for something very specific. And a few months later, she get pregnant, and it was like, wow, the first baby Biospect. And not the last, but it was the first one, and it was amazing, just a few months after.
Going back to one of the reasons I had doubts, I recall this now, was I had a couple who had tested positive for herpes, and they wanted a treatment, and they weren't able to treat it elsewhere. And they came, and I scanned the guy, and it was one of the first few scans I did. And we scanned him, and the herpes didn't come up. And we're looking everywhere, and Ludivine's saying, look in the linal vein inside the spleen. It often likes to create a nest, a home there. All these bacteria and infections, they would like to live in different parts of the body. So we looked there, wasn't in the blood, couldn't find it. And of course, it's the very beginning, and as I was saying to the chap that was treating, I was like, are you sure you've got herpes? He's like, absolutely, I've got the test. And I'm thinking, this bloody machine, it doesn't work. And I go back to Ludivine, and she says, ask him, is he on antibiotics? Because if he's on antibiotics, it will create a blanket and you won't be able to see the infection. I went back to him and I said, are you on antibiotics? He's like, yes. Now his partner wasn't on the antibiotics. She came, scanned her, herpes everywhere. It totally restored my faith in the machine. But as I said in the beginning, you have to go through this until you really start to trust the process. But
yes, because when you take medication, you send the signal to the brain, everything is okay. Because the medication hides the problem, more or less. So it sends to the brain, okay, medication is doing the job, and we scan the brain. So if we scan the brain to have the information, and the brain receives the information, everything is okay. In the scan, I see everything is okay. So if I know what kind of medications they take, I can go deeper into the cells, the different layers, and find the problematic.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the mitochondria always reveals so much, doesn't it? If you can't find things, but you go in there, you can often find all sorts of viruses hanging around.
So now, you are passionate about bioresonance. Mm-hmm. It's your new targets. Mm-hmm. So you are learning more and more about all this frequency, and in a very deep level. And during the retreats that we are going to offer, that's where we will be able at least to teach bioresonance in this globality, the holistic approach, how you connect with the machine. So this is one first part, but as well, more the technical part for the one who are into techniques, frequencies, where it's brand new, and you can talk to us about it a little bit more.
Well, yeah, there's different approaches, formats, you could say, to using the machine, and how we integrate sessions. We can, you know, go after the infections. We can create remedies, very specific remedies using water, alcohol, sugars. If we want to treat something emotionally, and we want to put, say, like the frequency of a Bach's flower remedy, which is very effective.
Yes, like I interrumpt you, but yes, when we use when we create the remedy, it means like we send the frequency of crystal, of Bach flower, of homeopathic treatment, yes, into a resonance chamber, and it creates a remedy.
And we create, because a remedy only holds about 5 different frequencies. So we create multiple bottles, you could say, these lots of little bottles. We might make 1 or 2 for the infections, depending on how many infections they have. If they have 10 infections, then that would be 2 bottles. If they've got 5, just depends. And then if we feel that there's a strong emotional issue, if we go in and scan and can see, oh, hang on a second, there's a lot of emotions here, then we're going to apply homeopathy and Bach's remedies. And we can also look at what specific parts of the body are damaged through organo preparations, and this will give us this really useful list of all the areas of the body that are weak. And so if, for example, someone's got weak lungs, we can go through the list and it will show us, say, the bronchi, the pulmo, these are weak, and therefore we create a remedy by sending the corrective frequencies from these specific parts of the lungs to this remedy, which they will then take for the next week, up to 3 weeks, even longer, depending on how we house it. Water, you use in acute cases, and that will last up to about 7 days. Alcohol will last longer, it's very stable, but the best is actually oils. If you create oils, for example, made of frankincense, of clove, of even CBD, you can mix these all together and use this as a method to house all these different frequencies, because these oils are medium chain and they can hold many frequencies. So in one bottle you can create a very powerful remedy, but that's more expensive to do, so that depends on the client's budget. But there are many options there. We've then got the treatments through the bioinductors, through the headphones, so we can treat through metatherapy, which is, as we get older, if organs are weaker, we don't have the energy to send to that specific organ. So let's say, for example, the stomach is low on energy, and we can see that there's lots of 4s and 5s in the entropy scale, and we can see through the graphs that the energy isn't flowing well, and there's lots of infections which will support that. We can send metatherapy, which is energy through the machine, through the internal generators, these high frequency generators, which send energy from the device through the headphones. And this is one of the fundamental parts of the non-linear system technology, that we can send metatherapy, because this is the foundation of treatment. And so and for older people, when you have less energy, this is really important. And so we can use that. We can use something called metazodes, which is where if someone is of a younger age, they're below, say, 30, or they can be older, if it's someone, they can be in their 40s or 50s, if their energy is really strong, and we're seeing 1, 2s and 3s in the scales, then they have the resources to be redirected to another area of the body which is weakened. And so we can create these metazode remedies and imprint those also into bottles, which can be very effective for young people.
So as you can see, there is many different ways to use bioresonance, like infinite ways to use the bioresonance for the more like scientific part or for the more holistic part. And in the next retreat that we are going to create, it's like to invite different practitioners who are willing to explore different modalities, and where we are going to present like the more technical part approach in the bioresonance field, where we are going to propose as well like movements, because it's like a part of the healing process of customer, breathing exercise as well, the food as medicine, like medicine food, because like if we nourish the cells, we can nourish the cell with frequency, but if we don't nourish the cell with the right food, it's like, okay, one part missing, you know. It's like if you put water in your car in the morning, like you don't go far, you need the right petrol. So for the body, it needs the right petrol, and the right petrol is movement, breathing, foods, frequency to reset the cells. And we will offer as well like hypnotherapy for people who have like some addiction, so it will be like new techniques as well to add. So
meditation.
Yes, meditation. So all this retreat is going to bring back many tools to be like available for the practitioner to use, and like to have more results.
All the pillars of health, essentially.
Yes.
Spirituality, physical health through exercise, food, emotional stability. So, yeah.
So as we create these retreats for the practitioner, Steven will be an asset to teach really like more the technical part, the more all about frequency, all these tools that how we can use a machine in a technical way and a scientific way, because Steven is like passionate about it. So it will be our like super tours as well, teacher, like having this vision of like bioresonance in a different way. We can use the machine in so many ways, so we want to present it like with all the aspect of it and what you can do with the machine.
Well, I think what I would like to teach and what I'm passionate about is the fundamentals, which I think get overlooked. Really learning the curves, understanding how to interpret, how to read them, how you compare that with the physical etalons that come up, and then going through all the different technical aspects so that people understand the data. Because in the beginning, it can, if you haven't had someone explain to you, well, this is how you read this graph, and this is how you read that graph, and this is what these numbers mean, it's hard to make sense of. So that is what I would like to bring to the table, is some clarity about how the finer details, how we can interpret those,
and how we are able to touch like different like aspect, like medical aspect, like engineers aspect. So some people are interested in more technology part, you know. Some will be more interested in the holistic part and like energy healing. So it will be more my field, but all the technical parts is like will be a Steven field. Like you can drive the car. It doesn't mean that you are the garagist, you know, the one who can fix the car. For me, I can drive the car. I don't know how to fix the car, and like Steven will be the garagist, the one who can fix it.
So to explain what a non-linear system is, which is what the Biospect is, and it's one of the best in the market at that, is non-linear means lots of variables, lots of ways, of treating, lots of different data to interpret, looking at health from many different modalities and from different angles. So non-linear is the way that this system is working. Is what it means is that there's lots of ways to interpret the information, lots of ways to treat the body, looking at a health issue from many different angles. So we can not only scan in a traditional Western way through the organs, we can also scan it through the Eastern way, through the meridians. And some people may be drawn to the Chinese model, where they can look exactly precisely through each meridian and compare iridology, for example. That for some people is very useful. But to dial back a bit more to what nonlinear is that it's through the bioinductors we are scanning the electromagnetic waves which are coming off the body, and they all bypass through the brain. And so by connecting the bioinductors to the brain, it's picking up all this data. So every cell emits an electromagnetic wave, and inside this, if you think of it as like a blockchain, there's so much data in there about what viruses are in that cell, what disease tendencies, what emotions are blocked, pathologies. There's lots of toxins, heavy metals, etc. So the nonlinear system is a means to scan the body. Each cell emits electromagnetic waves, and this system can scan those electromagnetic waves. And inside these waves contains lots of information regarding pathology, viruses, toxins, allergies, food sensitivity, and so forth, weakened organs. So this information is sent back to the machine, and the machine is comparing those to what they should be in a healthy person. So it's comparing your frequencies to what they should be in a healthy person, and by doing that it can assess these are out of line and by how much. So that's it in a nutshell.
So this is great. So we explain like the nonlinear system, how the cells are emitting like frequency information, and how the machine is going to pick up this information, like translate them into like visual, because the machine is going to translate this information into a picture, so we can see the heart, the kidneys, the liver, we can see as well the bacteria, the virus, the parasites. So all the information are going to be like changed into a picture, colors, and like that we can follow exactly what is inside our body. Of course, it's generic picture, but when we have the projection of like our session, our scan, we have in real time the energy of the body, and like all like the perturbation, because we have the curves of the organ and the curves of the energy the brain spend to make this organ work, and like that we can compare the energy of the organ and where is the problematic coming from, and like that we can interact and send the corrective frequency to your immune system, to the brain, who is going to repercute like this information into each cells and create the healing process. It's not like a magic stick immediately. The body receives, the cell receives the information, and slowly they are going to make everything to change and like to execute the information. But of course, it depends like why the food is so important at what you are going to eat, to give the right fuel to your cells, how you are going to breathe, what you are going to put in your daily life to make this change happen. Because if you are full of toxins, or if your body is like don't receive the right food, you don't do exercise, so it means no oxygen in your blood system. The cells, they receive the information, they are going to start to do the work, but they are going to look for the food. Food, it means many things. It means oxygen, it's like vitamin, minerals. And if they don't find the food in the body, they cannot do the work. So there is no transformation. It start a little bit, you change a little, you feel a little change. But at the end, it's like the cells cannot do the job. So this is why the holistic approach of the healing is so important, that we have to integrate each piece to allow the body and the cells to do the work.
Yeah, the machine cannot do it by itself. If you have someone that's living an imbalanced lifestyle and you scan and treat them and they carry on living that imbalanced lifestyle, then the problems are just going to stay. They're not. You're not going to heal. So it's a fully integrated process.
This is why the purpose of this retreat. So who is this retreat for? So it's for people who are interested in healing, like practitioner, non-practitioner, energy healers, or non-energy healer as well, when we are more into the scientific part, like medical parts, osteopath, naturopaths, people working with animal as well. So it's like a vast, opportunity, like to procure to the people like the different tools they need. Like it's for healing people, so we need like different tools. So this retreat will be like for people to have access to this kind of technology, to be able to learn about this technology, like that when they go back home they have the tools, the necessary tools like to use for their practice as a practitioner or non-practitioner, because they will learn what it means to be a practitioner and how to do in their like daily life, how to use the tools. And yes, and it will be in Chiang Mai, Thailand, where we are at the moment. What do you have to add?
Well, it doesn't matter. People may be watching this and curious and tempted, oh, I would love to do that, but I don't have the expertise, I don't have the experience. No, if you have a passion, if you want to help people and you're passionate about learning and healing, then you have just as much opportunity to gain from doing this course as someone who's, say, a doctor or a therapist or some alternative healer. This is for people from medical model, alternative therapies, or just for someone that's just starting out, but they feel a calling to start on this journey with this technology, as I did six years ago.
And I have teachers as well who wanted to change their work and like wanted to do some things more like to help people in a different way. And they change their career and they shift like from like teaching to energy healing and like with the help of the Biospect.
Everyone can do this essentially. If you have the passion to learn and to help people, it's open to everyone. Yeah.
Thank you.